Hey guys, my name is Dakota Pike, and this is the Better Ideas Podcast, a podcast where I talk to creative and interesting people who inspire me to want to learn about them and in turn share that with you. In today's episode, I'm going to be interviewing my friend Casey Steinmiller, my new friend Casey. He's a photographer from Pittsburgh, Kansas, who has been blowing up the scene in Lawrence and the surrounding area with just some amazing photography. I actually have been seeing his photography a lot longer than I knew who he was. So it was really cool when I got to meet him to put a face to all of this really cool photography that I've been seeing of all of my friends' bands and bands that I'm a fan of or know in some way. So it's really cool to get to sit down and talk to somebody whose art you've admired for a while. And I'm really happy with the conversation. I look forward to doing it with him again. So, Casey, thank you for coming on the show, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. In other news, Better Ideas, the band, will no longer be playing music together, unfortunately. I felt like I should let you guys know that because I'm going to be posting about it soon, and Casey and I talk about it a little bit. But we're all moving on to different things, and we're all at different places in life, and I'm feeling really optimistic about the future. So keep your eyes peeled for just new projects and new musical things going on around here. I also moved into a new duplex, and I'm setting up a podcast studio in a spare bedroom, so I'm really looking forward to that. Maybe someday I'll get into video work or like do video podcasts too. I think that'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, that being said, let's get to the episode.
I mean, because I first saw them, like whenever I first saw them, I was shooting press for an online magazine, and I had like never really listened to him before, but one of my friends, she was a diehard fan, and she was like, "You have to go see 21 Pilots." I'm like, "Okay, cool, I'll go take photos of them." She's like, "I hate you." And so I saw them, and I was just like blown away. I'm like, these guys are amazing.
Yeah, where was
like,
that? Was that at Starlight?
Yeah, that was at Starlight.
Okay, which one was that?
That was, 2 years ago, I want to say.
Okay. I was at that show, I'm pretty sure.
No.
I think so.
Oh, man. That's awesome. It was Echo Smith.
Yeah, Echo
and
Smith. My girlfriend has an Echo Smith shirt from the show.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And shooting there was weird. It was awesome because, like, their lighting and stage presence was amazing.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a photo pit, so I was shooting from the sides of the stage. Not like side stage, but like in the front still. And then I got escorted to my seat after like 3 songs, and then, just was there. So it was kind of cool. And and they gave all the photographers like seats in the front. We were like 5 rows away. I'm like, we don't deserve this.
How do you get into with really big bands like that?
Well,
get into
they weren't super huge at the time. It wasn't even for them. It was through a magazine outlet online. It was called Monkey Goose. It was really small back then, and like I kind of got in on the ground floor of it and helped grow it a little bit. And it's a little bit bigger now, but it's still not crazy huge. But and there's a billion online magazines out there too, which is crazy. So a lot of people can get photo passes pretty easy nowadays.
okay.
So yeah, I have like all these like bands that people think I've worked for, and I'm like, no, I was just taking photos as press, so I really didn't even get to meet them or anything like that.
Yeah, because I noticed on your Instagram you had like a lot of faces that I recognize.
Yeah, well, and it's crazy because way back then I got a ton of followers from it, and then I stopped, and I was like, okay, I need to start making money, so I actually started working for bands who put in the hours and like weren't really super popular, but they toured and would take me on tour with them, so I was working actually for them. And it was nice, but then like I lose all these followers all the time. Like, cool, that's fine, because I'm not shooting those big names anymore. Yeah, exactly.
Really heard of.
No one wants to see some local band's photos, even if I'm like, that's the best photo I ever took.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I don't really care that much about it anymore. It was cool at first. I'm like, wow, all these Instagram followers, and now I'm just like, yeah. It was a weird transition, finding and figuring all that stuff out.
All right, so I have for the most part, I don't do guidelines.
Yeah, no.
I just kind of, like, I have a couple questions that...
Of course.
Actually, I have a friend who's, like, really into your photography.
No way?
Yeah, who suggested me...
That's so weird to hear that.
Yeah. She's kind of a aspiring photographer herself.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm interviewing this photographer, and she had already heard of you. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know anything about photography or cameras or anything like that, so, like, you should think of some good questions.
That's so
like,
weird. Like, I still think of I know I'm not by any means, like, popular or famous or anything like that, but whenever people tell me, they're like, I love your work, I'm like, I didn't know people looked at my stuff.
Yeah. Well, dude, I definitely saw, like, a lot of your stuff before I knew who you were. So, I mean, you're definitely getting recognized.
Yeah, and I guess half of it comes with the bands. Jordan, the other day, we were driving around Springfield. He's like, Casey, other than paying you, we actually paid you an exposure pretty well. I'm like, Jordan, shut up. What are you talking about? And he's like, well, if you think about it, you've gotten a lot of gigs and, like, made a lot of contacts for us. I'm like, actually, you're kind of right. It's a little weird.
Yeah. It's just crazy how, like, networking works. In that
oh, my
way.
God. That's
like,
my entire story. Literally, from front to end was just because I knew someone or because someone knew someone.
Yeah. And you just made friends with them.
Yeah. It's strange.
Okay, so I feel like we already skipped the beginning. So I want to get into that. Like, what got you into photography initially?
So it's kind of a long story, but it's a really strange one. So back in high school, I was really into like the tech classes and everything like that, and a little bit of the art classes too. And I was just kind of drawn towards those. So for senior graduation gift, my parents gave me a DSLR camera, just standard run-of-the-mill little Nikon camera. I was like, sweet, this is cool. Didn't really use it. Go to college, went to Pitt State, and I joined as, let's see, what was my first major? I had 3 different majors. So I was an art major, changed to a tech major, and then changed to the final program, which was digital media. So as an art major, I started doing a couple photo classes. I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. Like, just kind of learning the ropes. Had no idea what I was doing. I was terrible back then.
Yeah.
And so from there, I got involved with some clubs and stuff on campus. I ran track, and that took up a lot of time, and so did school. But I just kind of had my hands in everything, trying to figure out what I liked. And my dad had suggested, you should join this campus booking group called the Student Activities Council. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. And so they bring musicians and entertainers and artists on campus. And so my freshman year, I remember, who was it? I think the headliner was like Halo Scene or something. I don't know, some strange band. And I was like, you know what? I'll go take my camera to this show. Why not? And so like I shot the show and I was like, that was kind of cool. And like didn't really think of anything of it and just like kept going on with college. And then, I finally moved into the program I wanted and I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like I need to figure out what I want to do after college. This was junior year during the fall, and I had gotten more involved with that activities group, and they're like, Casey, you should go to this booking convention up in Minnesota. I'm like, that sounds awesome. I get to travel, I don't have to pay for it. I get to, go do cool stuff. And so while I was up there, my dad was like, hey, I have some old contacts from back in the day that are working at that right now. You should say hi. I'm like, sure, what's the worst I got to lose?
What is a booking?
So basically, for college campuses, it's basically a showcase. It's NACA, the National Association of College Activities, or something like that.
Okay.
And so basically, a whole bunch of artists come up, musicians, illusionists, speakers, comedians, and they all do short little routines in front of.
Put on by the school, like by the school you were going to, or
no? It's an actual like huge association, like it's an entity of its own.
Oh, okay.
And so it basically brings the students in, so they can see all these artists and be like, okay, we want to bring him to our campus, or we want to bring so and so to our campus. And so basically, it's a way for them to get in front of the college market, and then you book through booking agents and stuff like that from there.
Okay.
So it's like sense. It's such a bizarre experience too, because it's unlike anything I've ever been to before. Just because it's a whole bunch of kids that don't know what they're doing are like talking to these artist reps, and I'm like, this is strange. So
yeah, that sounds interesting.
And it's weird because I didn't even really get into the booking side for college activities. I would love to more, but I'm not in college anymore, so like there's no point to that.
Did you graduate from Pittsburgh?
Yeah. I graduated a year past last May.
Okay.
So not too terribly long, but just long enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at that convention, and I talked to one of my dad's old contacts, and he's like, "Hey, you take photos, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Do you want to shoot the shows tonight?" I'm like, "Actually, that sounds pretty awesome." Mm-hmm. And like, I think the Downtown Fiction was the headliner, and so I don't know if you've heard of them or not.
I don't know.
They wrote like one really catchy song, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I actually know what band this is. This is going to be awesome."
Mm-hmm.
And so I shot it, and I absolutely fell in love. I'm like, "This is my thing. Like, I have to do this now." So I got home, and I'm
it was
like,
because it was a band that like you liked and recognized.
Kind of, yeah. And I got to like take photos of them while they played and everything like that. And it was just the whole night and editing that night and just like the whole process. I just fell in love. So I'm like, this was super cool. I have to do this more. So I got home and I just started Googling like, how the heck do I do this?
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Help me. No one I knew anything about it, and I didn't have any music contacts anyway, so I was kind of out on my own. Mm-hmm. So I reached out because I just watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos and like followed a whole bunch of people on Instagram, and their advice was like, yeah, just start shooting at a local bar. I'm like, okay, there's one bar in Pittsburgh that has live music, and it's TJ Leland's, and it's like my favorite bar in town just because it's almost like a home to me.
Yeah.
So I messaged the people, and I was like, hey, I'd love to take photos here. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. We can't pay you, but we'll give you drinks every now and then. I'm like, done. Like, that's an awesome time. And so, I shot and worked with all these local artists in Pittsburgh and just kind of didn't really get an understanding of the music industry because not a lot of them toured or anything like that. They just played local shows, people came out. But I understood like lighting and working in low light and bars and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool getting to actually do all that. And then one day I got a like from that online magazine, and I just messaged them like, what do I got to lose? I'm like, hey, do you guys need a photographer? And they're like, well, we can't pay you, but we'll give you free concert tickets. I'm like, done. So, I mean, it was one of those things where I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And so I shot, going back a little bit, I also did Warped Tour was my first like big boy gig. Okay. For a fashion magazine that I met a guy through some kind of photography seminar, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of what I want to do. He's like, well, we could try and set something up for you. So somehow I got in, and so I shot Warped Tour. So that was like my first big boy gig, which was kind of cool.
Okay, what year was that?
2 years ago, whatever that summer was.
I think I was also at Warped Tour that year.
Who was headlining? It was Paris was headlining.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was fun, and that was a lot more eye opening to like what was going on. That was the first time I'd ever gotten like more access than just like being around with a camera.
Yeah. And so that was the first time you were around like touring bands also. Like big bands that doing this for a living.
Well, and it was funny because since I was press, I didn't even get to go backstage or anything. Mm-hmm. I was just around. And I did a couple interviews. I actually almost got to interview what's her name? She works with G-Eazy. BB Rexa.
Dude, she is what song is it? That Me, Myself, and I.
Yeah.
Me and my girlfriend were hooked on that song.
So fun fact, I got an email the week before from her GM, and her GM was like, hey, would you like to do an interview with her? And I'm like, I don't know who this is. Like, I'm sorry, I got to politely decline. Like, this is my first year. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry. And they're like, oh, no worries. And I turned down an interview with BB Rexa, and now I'm just like, stupid.
Yeah, now
like,
she's freaking huge.
And it's crazy how it works like that. And I'm just like, oh, if I had known, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I did a couple cool interviews, like the drummer of Escape the Fate. Mm-hmm. Who else did I talk to? I don't know. Just a couple different random artists, which was cool. And none of it was really planned. It was like sign up the day of, so that was fun.
So you interviewed them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For a magazine.
For that online magazine, which was kind of cool. And so then from there, I just started like doing a lot more of those mainstream big show gigs, not getting paid, but getting free tickets and building up my portfolio until graduation day, where I was like, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to do this, because I still was pretty jaded towards the music industry because I didn't know how touring worked or anything. I was just hoping a big band would just pick me up one day and be like, oh, his Instagram's cool, let's take him on tour.
Yeah.
Not how that works.
Yep.
I'm 99% sure that's not how it works. For that one person that has that happen, good for them, but that is not me.
Yeah.
So
figured out you actually have to like work a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I was working. I was doing, because during that school year, I was doing school, track. I had my job at the activities council, and then I was also on weekends or weeknights. I would drive up to Kansas City for a show, and then drive back the next morning. Or like, I remember one weekend it was Ex Ambassadors one night and AWOL Nation the night after, and I drove up that Friday night. Was there the entire weekend, and then drove back for my class Monday morning, and was just like dying the entire time because I had gotten no sleep and had no time to edit or anything. So I'm in class like editing on my photos.
Dang.
Yeah.
So when did you decide like to try to turn it into a job, or like, because it's kind of like your full-time thing right now?
Yeah, it's pretty much full-time right now. I still live at home, but I'm honestly gone so much it doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah.
I think I've been home 2 weeks since April.
Dang.
Or maybe a little bit less than that, even, like less than 2 weeks of actually being in my house since
Dude, honestly,
April.
I think that's a great, like, just way to do it in general.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
stay at home for a while and until you get your
It's
like,
not
feet
bad.
planted.
Yeah.
I wish I would have done that. I did this stupid thing and I like went to college in a different state and then was like out on my own and then was like, I'm gonna start a band and try to do all this other stuff. I'm like,
I mean, everybody
now
has
it's just like it's hard because I have bills.
Yeah.
And, like, all kinds of, like,
Everyone has a different way to do it too. Because I've talked to so many different photographers, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a pretty unique story. I did it this way." I'm like, "Oh, it's okay. Glad to know there's no rule book or anything for this." So like,
absolutely.
and I'm still figuring it out. I'm not by any means set, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I figured out I wanted to do it full time. When I walked across the stage, I was like, "Okay, this is it." Like, I don't have a safety net or anything. Like, I need to either start making money or start making contacts or something. So, one of the bands I worked with, they played at TJ Leland's at one time. They announced they were going on a tour. I was like, yo, let me go with you and take photos. They're like, well, we can't pay you, but we'll feed you. I'm like, that's good enough for me. I just want to get...
Every story is, well, we can't pay you.
I
but...
know. It's been a reoccurring trend, and I'm finally starting to get paid, thankfully. But it was weird for a while. I was like, well, I'll get something out of it. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like working for free, but if I'm getting something out of it, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So,
and you're making connections. And
exactly. And I just wanted to get on the road because I was like, okay, I need to start touring. And because of that tour, I met Jordan.
Yeah.
So it was weird. It was like day one of the tour, and we were at the Jackpot, and Jordan was there, and I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is, but he said something about Warped Tour, and I was like, oh.
Wait, okay, so which band was this that you're touring?
So this was, they were called Bruise, but now they're called Boys Home.
Okay, I just listened to their album today.
Yeah, Christian Nichols, Lennon Nichols, great group of guys.
A new album, right?
Yeah, I think it's called Wishbone.
Yeah.
Super great guys, and they're a lot of fun to tour with, but it was a rough tour, like no air conditioning, middle of the desert in the summer.
Jeez.
With no air conditioning. that was a rough one. Like after that, I felt like I could take on the world.
The desert, where are they from?
They're from Chanute, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not too terribly far from me.
They played at the Jackpot, and that's where you met Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jordan mentioned Warped Tour. I was like, Warped Tour, you say? Okay. And so I gave him my card. And I'm like, yo, you never ever need anything. And then at the end of that, I got a text from a friend saying, hey, Jordan said he was looking for a videographer. Do you do video? I'm like, yeah. So I hit him up, and I was like, yo, let's, work something out. Because Zach was on tour with Earthgrounds at the time. So I was like, all right,
So this is for Warped.
Yeah, this was for their first Warped Tour. And so I had very little experience with video. I knew kind of how to do it. It wasn't anything great. Looking back at the footage, I cry a little bit now. Because photo was my main thing back then. I never had a band hit me up for video work, so I was like, all right. And the video program at Pittsburgh wasn't, like, insanely awesome. It was a lot of learn on your own stuff. So I was kind of winging it that entire day, and luckily they liked my photos enough to be like, you know what, come out as our photographer. So then I started working with Sweet Ascent and met Earthgrounds, and it kind of spiraled out of control from there.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Makes sense.
Like I said, it's all like someone knew someone, knew someone, knew someone,
Yeah, that's so crazy because I had like basically just seen all of your work like all over the place. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, who's Steinmiller?
And it's funny because I'm from Pittsburgh, Kansas, so I'm not even from the area, you know.
Yeah,
I know a couple of photographers from this area.
That's why it's so funny is that, like, you're taking pictures of, like, all of my friends. And, like, all these people that I, like, that are kind of in the same general area as me. And so it was weird. Like, you kind of just came out of nowhere, but...
Yeah, well, and it was one of those things where it's either sink or swim. Like, okay, I graduate. I either have to make this work or I have to, like... suck it up and get some job or something that I really didn't want at the time. And so I was really aggressive with it, and I really wanted it badly, and so, like, I was driven.
Yeah.
And I'm still really driven right now because the past 4 months have been just nonstop touring. But, so I don't know. It really helped being hungry for it, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely important, I think, for any art or craft.
100% agreed, yeah.
So what makes you want to do, like, bands, though?
You know...
Have you taken pictures of, like, other stuff? Or
Yeah, I mean...
Is that your favorite thing?
It kind of is my favorite. I like portraits and studio work, too. Don't get me wrong. I can't do, like, food or nature or anything like that. I just... It's boring to me. I like the interactions with the people, too. I did this one shoot with Earthgrounds down in Nashville, and... it was great because one of my friends, she let us use her studio in exchange for us getting photos taken of us. Like, she was doing a tattoo project, and so we were all covered in tattoos. So we kind of did a little trade there, and we just had such a blast hanging out in the studio and just, like, you know, they, for one photo, they had Brady up, like, in a cheerleader position, basically, in the studio. I'm like, this is awesome, just, you know, grinning the whole time.
Goofing off.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is, too. A lot of bands are just goofy dudes, like to hang out, so... Yeah. It kind of makes it easy and a lot more relaxing than
it's
family
photos
a cool
environment.
And it's so different from everything else too.
Yeah. It's probably the most unconventional job.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I explain to people what I do, especially like older crowds, and they're like, "That's a thing." Yeah, I remember I had to explain to my track coach one day, like what I was going to do. I'm like, "Hey, coach, I need to practice early so I can go to this concert." He's like, "You're not going to a concert." I'm like, "No, it's for work." He's like, "No," and I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's for work. I'm taking photos of the band tonight." And he's like, "That's a thing?" I'm like, 100% that is a thing. Like, people do that. And he's like, "People get paid for that?" I'm like, "Yeah, they actually do. Not right now for me, but yeah, they do."
Some people do.
Yeah, and
somewhere out there.
Yeah, it's just kind of strange trying to explain it to some different people that don't know that that's like a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because like content creation nowadays is so important.
Yeah. I think the internet kind of birthed a whole new like generation of jobs. That
it really
like
did.
Weren't jobs before.
Well, and my degree, it was brand new whenever I first like moved into it, because it's digital media, so it's like photo, video, graphics, web, like all these media things rolled into one little package with a nice little bow, kind of a deal. So it was different, and it was cool getting to learn all these skills, because now, I mean, I use the web stuff for my own website, and you know, video, photo, everything.
Yeah. So how was Warped?
which
I guess this past one, because that was a more recent. You went with Sweet Ascent, right?
On the Skull Candy one?
Yeah.
No, I did not actually.
Oh, you didn't?
I know. I really wanted to, but Skull Candy was kind of slow responding to them for a while, and they weren't going to front my plane ticket.
Oh, okay, so you were on Mock Love at the time that they were doing the Warped.
I was on Mock Love and Earthgrounds.
Okay.
Cause,
their Solid State tour.
Right? Yeah, because with Earthgrounds, it was... The game plan was I was going to do 4 or 5 days with Earthgrounds, and Sweet Ascent's first day was in Nashville, so I was going to hang out in Nashville with a friend of mine and hop on the Sweet Ascent tour, so I wouldn't have to drive anywhere or anything, or I'd still get to hang out with Earthgrounds. So, but it just never ended up working. So I'm like not really upset, because you know it was their thing, and I'm happy for them. And I was still touring too, so I really couldn't complain. Yeah. So, and that was a big tour too.
Yeah. Got to stay out of the Warped Tour heat, I guess, too.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they talked about a lot.
How hot it was.
Yeah, hot. And I'm like, I don't know, I feel like it'd be fun, but it'd be a different perspective, you know, because working instead of playing every day.
I think either would be hard.
Oh, I'm not saying either is one is easier than the other, that's for sure, because I am horrible when it comes to heat.
Yeah.
But, you know, I would have been on Warped Tour, so it wouldn't have been like,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm dying of heat, but I'm on Warped Tour at least. Like,
yeah, I think that's like what everybody is thinking.
Yeah,
Like when they're
so-
like, oh, it's so hot, but it's Warped Tour.
so that's kind of my goal for next summer. Actually, is to get on the Warped Tour somehow or another.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea or plans yet with that. It's really just like whatever happens, happens. So, I mean, this year Sweet Ascent was on it for a little bit. They could be on it more next year. So,
Sick.
yeah.
So, how do you go about like editing and all that? Because I noticed that like most of your stuff's black and white. Right?
So, yeah. No, actually, I love black and white. That's my favorite way to shoot.
I can tell. I mean, it looks sick. So
yeah, and
that's definitely.
It's funny. There's a running joke between Earth Groans and Sweet Ascent. It was like, just throw it in black and white and throw Casey's logo on it. And I was like, you're not wrong. But I use Lightroom, the Adobe program Lightroom, and a lot of it I was self-taught on Lightroom. So I just messed around with it until I figured it out, and I'm still messing with things I haven't even dealt with before. Yeah, so it really depends on what I'm trying to go through, because like with portrait stuff, I'll do Lightroom, Photoshop to do little retouches and stuff like that. But I try not to like hard edit, like just Photoshop stuff out of like live photos. I like them being kind of real, which is always keep
so
something
you try
different.
to like do minimal editing if you can.
Yeah, well, and I've gotten to the point where I'm really quick, and a lot of photographers are like, how the heck do you do that? I honestly don't know sometimes, because I can look through photos and just see like, oh, that thing is not right. I don't need that photo, and I just throw it aside. Back in college, I was really bad at cutting down photos I gave out. And my teacher's like, Casey, you got to stop turning out all these bad photos. Like, you have good photos in there. You just need to find out which ones are which. So I learned how to be a really self-critical, like, editor and really focus on, like, okay, this is a good shot. So for shows, I typically give, like, 8 to 12 good photos. And that's for, like, dive bars and stuff like that. Whenever I was with Earth Groans for Creation Fest, we had, like, 25 photos that I gave them. So, like, it really depends on the situation. Yeah. But I'll get turnaround typically if I can sit down with my laptop right after a show, like an hour or two. Dang. Not even. Yeah, so they have them that night to post for the next day, because I hate going to bed with work to do still, because then I also am a procrastinator, so if I don't do something on the spot, it'll take me a little bit longer to do it.
Dude, it definitely seems like you're staying on the ball, because like all the bands that I follow that I know you're on tour with, I'm like, dude, like before I knew about you, knew who you were, I was like, who is taking their pictures? Because they always have like a brand new picture every day.
Yeah,
and it's always like this killer picture, and I'm like, who's this photographer?
Yeah,
guess,
and
like,
I really pride myself, because honestly, with like media being so quick refresh rate, them being able to crank out a new thing from the night before is really important for them too, because no one wants to see the same show like 4 days in a row. I mean, obviously when there's off days you have to post from the same show, but being able to keep it fresh, and it just gives it a little bit more professionalism, and that's something I like doing too, is being really professional when it comes to stuff like that.
Have you ever thought about like running social media for bands or anything?
I have, but I've never been at. I don't know, honestly. Like, a lot of bands just do it themselves, and like I haven't worked with big enough bands that are like overwhelmed with all of their stuff. So. And it's
true. I guess most people probably just do it themselves.
Well, and it's weird because like even with my own social media, I get swamped like crazy, because I try and post daily stuff and like just to show that I'm still active and doing stuff. So,
dude, I suck at that. Like,
and I'm really bad sometimes too, especially when it comes to off tour time. I am gone from the internet. Yeah, like I just zone out and don't do anything, and I'll scroll through it every now and then, but I won't post. Like,
yeah. See, that's how I am. I'm like when the band is really active, like my band, it like I'll post. I'll actually have content.
Yeah, exactly.
But like lately, we've just kind of not been doing anything,
and so you just kind of let it go for a while.
Yeah, like our social media is like just dead right now. It's on hiatus, I guess.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks because there's a little bit of momentum that comes with that too. Like,
yeah, well, I definitely noticed that. Like, the more you post, the more it grows, and the more it gets caught in those algorithms. It actually shows up on people's wall. It's
so weird. I really wish I could like actually sit down and learn like some of the social media like strategy things and things they do. I've only learned on my own time and from little snippets on the internet.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's moving in a direction where just people just like authentic content. Just anything that's like real, like not clickbaity and just
Well, yeah, because there was that huge phase of like all of the clickbait stuff.
Yeah, and it's that's just not cool. That's not what the internet should be for.
No, it really shouldn't.
So, all right, this is one. This is from that friend who's a fan of yours, Becca.
Hi, Becca.
Hi, Becca. We were having a conversation about, and like I don't know if this is the same way with photography as it is with like music, but we were talking about how like whether or not the gear really matters. Like I'm one of those people where I'm very minimalist about my like guitar approach. Is like I don't care what pedals you have. I don't care what kind of guitar you play. I care about
as long as you know how to play.
Yeah, like the tone comes from your fingers as far as I'm concerned.
I get that.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if like you kind of see camera equipment the same way. Like what do you use, I guess, for starters? Okay. And do you think it's really that important?
Yeah.
Or what?
Okay. Yeah. No. So starting out, I used a Nikon D3100, and there was a camera I got from high school, and so I just shot with that for a little while, and then because of one of my classes, I got a 50mm lens, which is honestly I still use it today. It's been that good to me, and so I started out with that, and honestly with gear, I think it's a progression thing. Like there's definitely limitations to gear, but you shouldn't try and limit yourself to like, oh, well, I need a new camera to be better.
So don't wait to start, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can shoot with just about anything nowadays. My buddy keeps tagging me on Facebook like, look at me, I'm a really good photographer, Casey, and he's using his iPhone.
Yeah.
Kind of mocking me, but it's fine. Like, I get a kick out of it.
Pretty good pictures.
They do, and I'm not saying go into a photo pit with an iPhone by any means, but like obviously like a DSLR is where you want to start out when it comes to gear. But I mean, I started out with that stuff, and I just slowly built my lenses and my camera bodies in kind of a need to expand myself, because once you get to a certain point, you kind of almost outgrow your gear. And I know that might sound contradictory to what I just said.
I think not really. I mean, I kind of get what you're saying.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I found out certain situations like I need a wide angle lens or I need a zoom lens. There's definitely gear for the situation. So yeah, now I shoot with a Nikon D610, a 70-200 2.8 lens, those are my like go-to combo. But I also love shooting in bigger venues with a lot more space and everything like that. But then, let's see. I also have a wide-angle lens, my 50mm, and then I just got, for video work, a Lumix G7.
Okay.
And Zach got me onto the Lumix game because mirrorless cameras are really good at video. So...
The what? Mirrorless?
Mirrorless, yeah. So inside DSLRs, basically, quick rundown is... there's a little reflecting mirror that takes the image and it captures it onto the sensor. Okay. Well, with mirrorless, it's all digital.
Okay, so it's the difference between like mechanical and solid state.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing. Yeah. So it's really cool getting to shoot with something different, and I only use it for video work and as a backup, just because it's a lot smaller than my big camera. So yeah, that's kind of a short rundown of my gear. It's really weird to describe because I don't know. It's different from everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I can't judge it because I don't know
any
of that stuff.
Yeah.
You just named off. But I have friends that are into that and who will definitely know what you're talking about.
And it's one of those things I love talking to people about my gear too and like explaining it. Because I've had people come up to shows and they'll look at my Pelican case, go, "What do you got in there?" And it's just loaded with stuff. So,
So you have like one of those backpacks like Zach has?
I used to have a backpack. But because of track in college, I had some back problems. And then also because of the backpack, I was carrying around like 60 pounds of gear.
Yeah.
So like I was having all sorts of issues. So I switched over to a Pelican case. And now it's on wheels, and it's so nice because it like protects it and everything like that. I actually had this like freak out moment at a house show with Earthcrones. I pulled out my 7200, which it's like a $2,000 lens. And so I pulled off the lens cap to it, and there was just glass. I'm like, oh no, this is like really bad. Like I can't afford to get a new lens. Like what am I going to do? Like freaking out and panicking. I'm like messing with it a little bit, and it worked fine. I'm like, what the heck is this? And one of the filters on top of it, like it was just like a sun filter that just like kind of blew out the sun a little bit, had broken, and like it was just a little like bit of glass everywhere. And I was like, okay, that's not as bad. Like a $20 filter.
Still use it without that?
I still use the lens. It was great, yeah.
Huh.
But after that, I'm like, I have to get something to protect my gear. I can't risk like it just being thrown around anymore. So it was kind of like a oh crap moment to where I had to actually sit down and get some big boy toys. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you like? Do you have? I hate asking people what their goals are.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's such an arbitrary question.
Yeah.
But like, what do you? I guess. What do you want to do with photography?
Well,
Because I mean, you're doing a lot of cool stuff
Yeah.
now. So I wouldn't judge you if you said I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
I love what I'm doing now. I'm really ambitious though, and I'm like very competitive.
Yeah.
So like I want to be the best, and like, you know, I want people to be like, you know, let's get Casey to go on tour with us because he's like, you know, the best or whatever like that. So really, I'm just building right now. I'd say one of my goals in the near future, definitely I want to go on Warped Tour for a summer. Like that was a goal since since the first Warped Tour I went on. I was like, that'd be really cool. Like, you know,
That's still one of my goals too.
yeah, it's a really good goal too because
Yeah.
it's somewhat achievable.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really want to do an arena tour. Like a really long, like a 4-month long arena tour with buses and all that stuff. Just because I've seen, I worked VIP for a company for a little while, and I still do every now and then. But seeing all the behind the scenes stuff with that, and then just the possibilities of like how I can shoot in those big arenas, and you know, there's really not any limits to what I can do, as opposed to a dive bar, unfortunately. And I hate saying that. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy shooting all the time, even in the small venues, but
I just imagine it would get kind of like redundant shooting in like the same.
It kind of does.
lighting,
It does.
guess.
I have to get super creative sometimes, and it sucks some days because I get really frustrated with my work pretty easily because I'm super nitpicky.
I would just imagine like, for me, I don't really know, but I would probably get tired of like the same lighting in a similar setting.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Well, and it's one of those things where if I did an arena tour like that, it would be a lot of the same.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Like, pretty
there's
much the
also a
exact
lot
same
more.
setup
There's a
everywhere.
lot more space, and the lighting would be dynamic, and you know it'd be good lighting, and I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different variables that would go into it, and I just feel like it'd be not necessarily easier, but I'd be more free to do different sort of like content creation with that.
You want another beer, man?
Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome.
I'm gonna grab one now.
Okay.
Opener. How am I doing this? I literally just did this with
I was gonna say, probably would help on a table.
Probably.
That's just me.
All
There
right.
you go.
Oh, that's what that flat piece is for.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Interesting.
All right. Sorry for the technical difficulty getting the bottle open,
You're good.
but sorry to the listeners, I guess. All like 4 of them.
Yeah.
You know. Actually, I don't know how many people listen to this.
Really,
show.
I feel like
don't.
I feel like there's some analytics function you could probably find somewhere on iTunes.
Yeah, I do everything through like Libsyn. which
Okay.
it's a podcast host, I guess, and it's kind of like TuneCore for musicians.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Like you can just
I gotcha.
post it to one source.
Yeah, and it
sends
goes to
out
everything.
everywhere else.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I get like some analytics, but I also pay for like the smallest package because I
Yeah.
almost like not knowing.
That is
Like-
kind of cool. Yeah.
Like I literally have no clue, and I don't even check it. Like I haven't
That's
checked
cool.
it recently, so like I don't know. I guess lately I've just been focused more on like trying to
What you
just
put
focus
into
on
it.
what I'm actually doing and not focusing on
How it's
people
doing.
are taking
And that's
it or
honestly that's a
receiving
good way to look at a lot of stuff. Like even for me, that that makes sense. Not paying attention to what people are doing, but like the actual like level of.
This is good.
Yeah, I
like that.
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Something having to do with the quality. That's the word I was looking for. The quality of work. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm learning that. This I might even be redundant because I feel like Jordan and I might have had a similar conversation on that episode. But like,
it happens.
I'm still learning that. I guess.
Yeah.
That, like.
Well, I'm still learning all my photo stuff too.
Your thing is the only way to get it to work.
Yeah. You know? Well, self-progress is a really weird thing when it comes to, like, just the weird art form kind of stuff.
Yeah. Art's so, like,
not tangible. Yeah. Like that's a word.
Yeah. Non-tangible is also a good thing. Like,
yeah.
Or a good definition to put on it. But it's like there's no rule book.
And you can't measure it either. Like, you know.
There's no, like you said, like, you have a software that you can just explore.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel. I'm still exploring GarageBand. I haven't even got, like, Logic yet.
Oh, man.
I'm still like, I just found out I can program drums the other day. I'm
That's cool.
Messing with that. You know,
that is cool.
Like, it's just like a never-ending.
Well, and I think I was talking to Zach about this. There's really no limit, like, or ceiling with art. You're never really good enough, which is a good and a bad thing. Like, I feel like I'm always going to be hungry until the day I die for, like, getting better and better, which will be the death of me probably. But, you know, it's one of those things where also you can also keep pushing yourself.
Yeah, it's like I guess it's the yin and the yang, you know, like
it's a balance between being satisfied and wanting to get better.
Yeah, I think that I'm learning that in a lot of different ways.
Oh, I totally am too. Still to this day, I'm like, yeah, that's a good photo, but it could be better. But it is still a good photo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like that idea of, like, never being done, too. Because I feel like once you think you're done, it's kind of like saying you know something.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you claim to know something, then you're kind of shutting off the opportunity to learn something more about it. You know,
that's
like,
true.
If you think you're the best at something, then that means, like, you think you're done. You know, or that you've maxed out, I guess, on your capabilities.
Well, there's always more to learn too.
Yeah.
I mean, I just started getting into video work, which is a brand new field for me. So, like, luckily I've had Zach to kind of have him take me under his wing and teach me a little bit when it comes to video stuff. I just got done shooting a music video the other day, and oh man, it looks so cool. Yeah. I'm so excited for it.
Can you say who?
Yeah. I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say no, but it'll be soon-ish. I think it's gonna come out in August, and we're gonna post the teaser sometime within the next couple days. So
I saw that Mock Love one you did.
That was interesting.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like the colors. It's like it's just different.
That's awesome because
it's got like almost like kind of an aqua sort of feel to it.
Well, and I did that because their album artwork is that blue color, so I was like, I want to play a little bit off of their branding and their style a little bit, so I threw a little bit of that in there, and that was a fun thing to do, but it was also really difficult because they don't play to a click yet, so having to match up
live,
so having to match up the live with which was cool because a lot of it was improv, so like it was just crazy all the time. I never had a boring moment with Mock Love, and I love working with them. Yeah, they're a lot of fun when it comes to that stuff. So it keeps it fresh and, you know, nice and easy, getting crazy moments, but matching that up with studio audio was a challenge. So I watch it and I'm like, oh, but it could be better. Oh, that little clip could probably, you know, I could tweak that or something like that. And that's just the perfectionist in me too. I've had a lot of people give me really positive feedback on it, and I'm like, so. Yeah, I
don't think anybody likes their own art. Do they?
I mean, Do you? Every now and then. I mean, yeah, it's weird.
I think you can be proud of it for a while, and then you're like, 6 months later. I don't know about you, but for me, like I'm already just bored of our EP. We're not even released it.
Oh man,
I'm like,
wow. Although with that though, you've listened to it and had to play it so many times, like it gets you burnt out. And I mean, that's whenever I'm editing for like for that music video, I was tired of that song I heard. I was so burnt out. I'm like, guys, can you not play that song tonight? And they're like, no, we're gonna play the song tonight. I'm like, oh, okay.
Funny.
I mean, yeah, it's different. That's for sure.
We're at 51 minutes. I usually don't go more than like an hour.
Okay,
so,
that's cool. Any other questions you had?
Not anything that I have like pre-planned.
Yeah.
You know. But I guess it would be good to like tell people where we can find you. And
So
you got SteinmillerProductions.com.
yeah,
right?
and then I'm on Instagram, Facebook, with that same thing, and always people have a hard time spelling it, so I'm gonna spell it out. It's Steinmiller, and then Productions, because I'll tell someone that
I mix the I and the E around sometimes.
Yeah. So I tell people, and they're like, yeah, I don't know how to spell that, or they'll just completely botch it. I'm like, that's fine. I actually had to start carrying around cards with my social media on it for a while, just because people are like, what's your Instagram like here? I don't want to have to explain to you for 10 minutes in a loud concert,
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I have one of those cards laying around here somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You're the first and only person to recognize me from the music video.
Oh yeah, I was really bummed I wasn't in that, because I was gonna do behind the scenes photos, but I just got off a tour and I was literally 12 hours away in Texas whenever I got a call from Zach like, yo man, are you coming to this video? And I'm like, no, I can't make it in time. Like, I was a little bummed, and it would have been cool to work on that, because honestly that's like my favorite video of them so far.
Dude, it was cool. Like,
yeah?
I didn't know I was going to be a part of it until the day of. So
yeah, how was being in all that process?
It was cool. Like, I still haven't done anything like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, acting isn't my thing by any means. I'm just friends with the guys. So
yeah.
I just happened to be off work that day.
It's a really different, weird world, because I did the behind the scenes photos for all the Overwhelmed stuff. And so like that was cool, because that was my first like big music video project that I got to work on.
Oh, so you like took pictures while they're filming?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I did that and just kind of helped around, and then they ended up
went
using
to the asylum with them.
That was crazy. That was a lot of fun too, because like I just got to take random photos of creepy looking stuff. For they ended up using one of the photos as the album artwork for that, which I did not expect that, so it was kind of cool. I'm like, oh, I'm on iTunes now.
Nice.
Like,
that's awesome.
Just one of those weird things that popped up.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, man. Music videos, they're cool. I'd like to get, I guess, more into like the production of that type of stuff.
It's fun. It is a lot of fun. That the music video I just did, like we shot at a house, but it was just a blast because we were just hanging out half the time, and like it gets a little repetitive because you have to do multiple takes sometimes, but it is what it is.
So do you want to do more?
Yeah, actually, so September I'm not really booking any tours. I kind of want to focus on doing more projects like that and a couple one-off shows, and just kind of being home for a minute, but also more willing to travel just for not touring's sake, like doing music videos,
like
and stuff
travel
like that.
to go help with the music video.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of my game plan right now, but that could totally change if I got an offer for something crazy too. So I think I know what I'm doing, and then something happens. I'm like, guess I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, the door opens.
Yeah,
something better.
Yeah, for real. I would not have guessed I'd have been on the road that long this summer.
Yeah,
like a lot of that just popped up.
Yeah. So did you like plan much of it out, or was it a lot of like, oh, this tour is over, I wonder who's going on tour next? Like,
yeah, I mean, I'd see tour announcements, or I'd talk to people about their tours and stuff like that. Like Mock Love's tour just happened to fit between two Earthgroans tours like perfectly, and stuff like that kind of going on. It was a lot of luck and weird planning that I wasn't even a part of the planning process for any of those. So I just happened to be like, cool, it works. Do you want to bring me? And they're like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it
really
keeps me busy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. I've been hesitant to like bring it up, but my band broke up last week.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna air that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That sucks.
I just don't know like how to go about like. I just feel like there's the elephant in the back of my mind.
Oh
like,
man, dude, that's
this whole
horrible.
time. Yeah, because Better Ideas is like kind of a band and a podcast. Like,
okay.
It's like my enterprise,
Well, I mean, you can still carry on with this. Like this is.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to. And same with the music.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being completely honest, like with the EP, I tracked all of it.
Oh dang.
So
you're just gonna look for new members or what?
I don't know. I at this point, it's like
I mean, is that kind of a project that you want to keep pursuing, or do you want to start over because you don't want, I don't know, that kind of bad vibe going on still with it?
I don't know.
Hitting you with the hard questions now.
Dude, this is cool. Like, I've been trying to figure out a way to maybe talk about it, so, like, I'm still not even sure
Yeah,
what
no,
I'm going
of
to do
course.
with this, but, like, I feel like we've done enough work on it. Like, the EP is basically tracked.
Yeah.
And it's at a point now where, like, most of the songs on it are songs I wrote in high school.
Oh, man.
That, like, I'm just ready to move past. Like, I really just want to finish that EP, put it out, even if it's not under Better Ideas.
Yeah.
Or I think it'd be cool to call it Better Ideas, personally.
That would be kind of cool.
And just, like, put it to rest, you know? Like,
yeah, no, because then you get a little bit of closure and you can kind of move on a little bit with that, too.
Yeah.
Because some of those, like, older projects, too, sometimes you just need to let them go, which really sucks, but, like, it might just be better for you as a person.
I think you're right, because everything right now is changing. Like, I'm in a new place.
Oh, man.
The band is, like...
Everything changes so fast, too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Especially, like, I guess maybe that's just your 20s, you know, or whatever.
Well, it was weird. I was in Springfield with Sweet Ascent, and they're like, yeah, Casey, we're going to drink tonight. I'm like, why? And it's our friend anniversary. I'm like, what are you talking about? We met a year ago. I'm like, whoa, this is weird. Like, that went in the blink of an eye, you know? Yeah. So everything is just, you know, fast-paced now.
So it's crazy. And I don't know. I feel like this kind of relates to what you were saying earlier about how, like, you're never done. You know? You're never the best at what you're doing. And I feel like kind of reconciling with that and, like, coming to terms with the fact that, like, I'm not done. I still have to get better. And for me, this has kind of been a pretty humbling experience.
Well, yeah, and it'll definitely push you, because now if you want to start a new project, you really have to want it. Or else you could just be done altogether, and, you know, that would suck. But it happens to a lot of people. They get done with the project and they're like, all right, I'm out. Or they pick themselves up and they really go after it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I haven't really skipped a beat since then. It was like last Wednesday when we kind of sat down.
Wow, that's soon. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why it's like it's kind of weird
man.
timing. I just didn't know if I should say anything, but I feel like I need to be raw. I need to be authentic,
I get that.
You know, like
dang.
I don't want to not say something that I feel like needs to be said.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm still stoked about, you know, like I have this with you today, and I have another potential interview planned out tomorrow.
Nice.
Like, so I'm still doing stuff.
Yeah.
I'm writing music.
You got to keep busy with this kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
If you stop doing it even for a minute, sometimes it'll just drag on, and then you just forget about it, or you get so busy with other things that you don't make time for it anymore. You know?
Yeah. And that's what I don't want, is because I know what I'm doing. I bought a van, dude, like 3 months ago. Like,
that's crazy.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I already know. Like,
so you want to tour and stuff a lot,
like that's
okay.
You know, whether it's with Better Ideas or whether it's with a different group of guys, like, I just know that I'm a songwriter. Like, that's kind of what I do. Like,
what did you do in the band?
I sing and play guitar.
Cool.
Yeah, in Better Ideas. Did, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've always kind of, like, concerned myself more with, like, the writing process.
Yeah.
Like, I just love, like, taking all the parts and arranging it and, like, making a song and caring more about, like, what each instrument is doing individually and how they complement each other, more than, like, just focusing on, like, I have a guitar part here, let me just shred as much as I possibly can.
And you might even be able to focus more just on that sole aspect if that's what you enjoy, too. Because, I mean, shoot, there's so many studio writers and songwriters out there that, you know, there's a market for it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know if there's one in Lawrence, but you can make one.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
There's definitely plenty of musicians.
Yeah.
The question is, like, finding guys like you, or, like, all the people, like, we're talking about, like, in all of these bands. Like, Like, I feel like I'm in a weird position where I'm, like, kind of a part of real life. Like, you guys aren't. Like, just to be honest with you, you are not a part. Like, I know that you, like, you have real responsibilities and things like that. Yeah. But, like, I feel like I'm caught between being a real American and a dreamer.
That adult.
Yeah.
I stopped myself and go, you know, telling my friends back home, like, you know, I'm not a real adult yet, kind of a deal. Because
see, I I don't see anything wrong with that, though. Like,
no, I'm not saying there is either. It's just it's a different world. You're right. Like,
yeah, I mean, you can either pursue, like the American dream, security.
Yeah,
is what a lot of people want, and I get that. The thing is, like, I have it, and I don't want it.
Yeah,
and
no, that's
want
different.
to be doing what all of my friends are doing.
Yeah,
like on tour, hitting the road. The problem, I guess, is just trying to find 3 other guys that kind of want the same thing.
You don't need 3. You can do a solo thing.
Yeah.
Or you could do a 2-piece, 3-piece. I mean, really the limit is whatever you want to do. You don't need to have a traditional band either.
That's definitely true. But, like, I guess for the sound that I'm going for and for the music that I've already
Makes
written,
sense. Yeah.
Like, there's 2 guitars and a lot of it, and the bass and drums and all
I mean,
that.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess we'll see where it goes. But I at least wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, no. Dude, that makes sense.
Like, I don't know. Because if the band was still together, we'd be having a conversation right now about how you're going to come on tour with us.
Yeah.
And take pictures. I'd be like, dude, next time we book a tour,
of course.
our next
It's funny.
show.
A lot of people tell me that, too, about their projects. Like, yeah, we're going on tour. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, book me whenever you want. Like, you just got to let me know way ahead of time, you know. Because that's one thing that's crazy about my life is, like, I don't get booked for tours super far in advance. Or I do, and so, like, I'll have these huge gaps where I have nothing, and then, a week before or 2 weeks before, I have a huge tour going on.
Yeah.
Just because I met someone, and they're like, yeah, we're going on tour in 2 weeks, come with us. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. I guess that's one other thing that keeps me optimistic is hearing stuff like that, like how quick things can happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, it's hard to predict any of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you told me 2 years ago when I first shot that show in Minneapolis for that booking convention that I was going to be touring in 2 years, I'd be like, no, I don't think that's a thing, but okay.
Yeah.
Like, the future's really uncertain, especially in this industry.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm optimistic for you.
Yeah.
You feel like you sound like you have the drive for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I feel optimistic. I don't know. I guess I feel that duality that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like I feel good and bad at the same time.
I get that.
There's so many like crappy things that have happened in recent history, but then there's also like so many cool things.
You got to find the silver lining.
Yeah. Well, and I think the silver lining is that I have a little bit more creative control over what I write right now. Yeah. And I've really been enjoying like just writing music on my own and working with a producer that I've been jamming with and just getting out ideas and like not trying to sound like a certain thing. Because like in a band, everyone has their input of like, we want to sound like this, or we're a punk band, or like, but it's like
you have a lot more control now.
Yeah, it's like, well, now I just don't have to care what other people think. Basically,
that's always good.
So I mean that part is kind of nice.
There's a phrase that I was told whenever I was in Boy Scouts way back in the day. It was take the bitter with the sweet because the sweet is that much sweeter. And so it's a really like, it sounds kind of cliche, but it's actually really true because like, stuff sucks, but there's always like, it makes the better parts like so much more contrasting.
Yeah, it's almost like one couldn't exist without the other. I guess yin and yang.
Yeah, it's back to it.
Balance of the universe.
Something like that.
Man. Cool. Well,
thanks for having me on. I was excited to do this. This is cool.
Yeah, dude, we should do it more often.
There it is, episode 5 in conclusion. Thank you, Casey, for coming over and drinking a few drinks and having some cool conversation and kind of being my therapist there for a few. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, please just let me know. I don't expect anything else from you other than a like or share or tell a friend. I'm comfortable with all forms of contribution. So that being said, have a good week, everyone.